Hi, Menno.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, everything is great. So, how are you? And welcome to the talks.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. And you had some difficulty in joining. I think there was some network issue or something.
It's it seems that everybody is on Netflix in Amsterdam these days, so Wi-Fi connections are not what they recently were, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a true. That's a fact around the world. Everybody is online. Just that's the lifesaver. That's the lifesaver actually.
Exactly.
So, as all of us are getting affected, you're also affected by this crisis. So, I mean, how are the things in Amsterdam and currently, where do they stand right now?
Well, I mean, I guess the situation in the Netherlands and in Amsterdam in particular is like in many other European cities. We are in lockdown. Um, Although our government refers to it as an intelligent lockdown, which kind of means that we are not obligated to stay at home. And like in France, you need a permit to even go outside. So basically, the government tells you to stay at home as much as possible and don't go outside unless it's really necessary. But it leaves a lot of yeah, intelligence in the hands of the people in the country, which is quite remarkable. Um, and I'm in fact quite happy that we're not in a Parisian situation in which the government really yeah doesn't allow you to go 1 kilometer far, or everybody needs a permit to even walk the dog, and that would be very dramatic. So although the situation is intense and it's very bad for all of us, I have the feeling that we should still be positive.
Yeah, that's the only way, and that's the best way. So, I mean, your story is one of the most well-known, I would say, stores around the world, denim stores around the world, and I think you started long back in 2008 or something. Your store started then, and that was a financial time of financial crisis, and you have come up a long way. And what do you? I mean, the crisis, current crisis, what is the effect does it have on store? Like your store and people like you.
Yeah, it seems that we are great crisis riders. It's almost like we never rode a wave of without any turbulence. But I guess the good news is that we've managed to go through all of these times quite well. And of course, we started in 2008, and I think a month after we opened our doors, Lehman Brothers fell apart, and yeah, the whole world was in financial crisis. And I sometimes make fun of it that
Sorry,
I went
lost.
to university, and I think you 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 spent quite some time in university as well. And then here we are working in the denim business, and a lot of people might have said before I started, like, uh, make something of your life. Make sure that you buy a good suit, get a good car, and do something with your education, do something with your life. And then yeah, the world falls apart, and all these people that rose that said to me, come on, get a decent job. They really kind of felt that they could say, you see, we warned you, and here you are in the middle of a crisis. um, Fortunately, the business grew ever since, and I guess we always manage to find a collection, and find a way to yeah, be ourselves in the middle of all of it. And I think if you embrace quality and you embrace good stories and honest people, even in those very dark times, there's an interesting business for you to do. And I guess there's a lot of similarities, although this situation, of course, is totally different from back in 2008. Um, I still feel that when we're out of this, there will be more emphasis on quality. There will be more emphasis on well-made products. There will be more emphasis on taking care of our planet, taking care of the people who are making all those garments for us. You know, so yeah, I might be a silly idiot, but I can't help it to be kind of happy and kind of positive that we're in this reset, because I think, to be very honest, the world needed a reset.
Absolutely, with all this landfills filling with all the garments, especially the garment industry, one of the biggest polluters for this earth. I mean, it was a big reset required. I mean, definitely not. Probably nobody expected or wanted it to be this way, but probably a big reset was required.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the biggest reset is is in the minds of the consumers. I mean, so do you see already, because you're already interacting with consumers because your store is open, and do you see that in the minds of the consumer changing in some way?
I mean, I think if you compare the 2020 consumer with the 2008 consumer, I'm super happy to be able to conclude that there's so much more knowledge, there's so much more education, and people are so much more aware of what they buy. In the same time, I feel that there is so much for us to gain. We have a tremendous responsibility as fashion entrepreneurs, as retailers, as developers, as manufacturers, to educate the consumer much more, because although we understand a lot more about food and the stuff we put in our mouths, and the whole the consequence of eating bad food kind of grows on us, and we think it's important because it's something you actually eat. I feel that the knowledge to wear something toxic or to wear something inhumane is still not really at the level that I would like to see it. So I believe we have to do a better job in continuing to educate the consumer to make sure that they can make better choices, and they also understand why it's so important that they make these choices as opposed to other ones that they might have made in the past.
That's very true. I mean, there have been many talks and comparisons between organic food and let's say high quality products like what you're doing. So I mean, these kind of comparisons are there, that okay, organic food is also, people have understood now, they are demanding that food, and the companies are making those food. So I mean, in apparel, this kind of recognition and awareness is definitely still not there. I mean, do you see that it will come over time? The consumers will really get aware about this. What is really the difference between product you have to wear only 3 times and throw it away, and something which you have to wear it for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years.
Well, I think this whole situation also learned us what we need and what we do not need. You see, I mean, I often refer to it the last couple of weeks. I said, what do you actually wear these days? We've been quarantined for quite a few weeks, and isn't it true that you go back to that one particular jean that you love the most, and you just keep your wallet and your keys inside, and those couple of white t-shirts that actually really make you comfortable and make you feel happy, and you go back to those very simple things. So to tell you the truth, I think that this whole situation is kind of a blessing, and of course, from a business standpoint, it's worth a couple of very extreme nightmares. But on the other hand, I think when we get out of this, and I guess we even put it on the window that, difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. And we at Tenue de Nimes really believe that this whole situation will bring us somewhere which is a better place.
One of your mottos is like, buy less, pay more.
Yes.
I mean, that is something I think what you believe in. And I mean, again, that is again all about quality. I mean, you buy less, but buy high quality.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all comes down to respecting the food chain and being aware what kind of love and what kind of effort goes into a product that's in front of you. And, you know, if it comes down to the metaphor, buying a white t-shirt that's probably going to cost less than your cappuccino that you pick up on the road to your work, something goes wrong, terribly wrong. And I feel that, you know, we should not just pay higher prices for the sake of it. We should pay higher prices because we learn to understand that certain prices cannot be any way attached to humanity or to respect to the planet. You know, it's something, if a garment is made on the other side of the world and the garment has crossed the globe like 7 times before it gets to your wardrobe, and then still you have to pay a price close to zero, something is very wrong. And by using the metaphor buy less pay more, we kind of try to challenge the people that come into our shops, like, you know, make sure that you invest in something and that you are happy with it and that you also feel the obligation to take care of it. If in the case of jeans, we try to educate people to come in and repair those jeans. You know, with my own brand Tenue, I offer free repairs, free lifetime repairs, and people come to me and say, "Menno, that's not a business model. How can you ask me to come back with a crutch repair, with that blowout on my knee, and all that stuff you're doing for free? That can never be a business model." I said, "Yes, it is a business model, because instead of you buying 3 pairs, you will tell all your friends when you're back in a bar, or at least you're allowed in a bar, but that's a different story. And you tell all those friends, I found this crazy dude in Amsterdam who's selling amazing jeans. And you know what the best part is? Whenever it breaks, he fixes it for free. And then instead of you buying 3 jeans, probably all your 5 friends will buy one. So I'm 2 jeans ahead of you." So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's word of mouth publicity. You know, that's which is the best advertisement anybody can get.
exactly.
So, I mean, tell me a little more about your brand. Tell me what is, I mean, because one is part is your store where you keep all the international brands, a lot of international brands, and one is your own brand. So, I lost you again, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, there was an alarm in my phone telling me I should jump on a call with you, but I guess that worked.
So it was a bit too late.
Exactly. So
All
you
right.
asked me about my brand.
Yes, yes. What's the philosophy behind the brand, and when did you bring it up? And I mean, how you know what? How do you want to take it forward?
Well, the most important assumption that we made was that there should be something building a bridge between that beautiful old world that I've been addicted to all of my life and the new world that we are in. And after selling 12 years the most amazing brands on earth, I kind of missed something. And that was a brand that served the purpose of both ends of the denim evolution. So, of course, there are many beautiful brands out there that have done an amazing job in either making the original jeans or replacing those originals with interpretations made in present times, you know? So in other words, replicating jeans from the 60s and 70s, making them look like maybe even better than the original. But what I kind of missed in this whole spectrum was a brand that translated all that information and put it into play in the present. So, and on the other side of the spectrum, you had a couple of modern day jeans brands that, to my opinion, kind of lost track of what we perceive as the original. So, and I'm not saying that any of these two ends are wrong or whatever, but I felt that if I was able to connect those two worlds, it would kind of become 1 and 1 is 3, if that makes sense. Because I always said to my people also in the shop, if we can learn from the past and we can learn about the fabrications, about the craftsmanship, about the make, about the fact that we took time to make stuff, you know, that actually stuff was made to last and to stay with you. Because let's face it, in the 1930s, a pair of jeans would cost you a month of salary. So there was no dude on earth who would not take care of those very precious pants, because they were simply so bloody expensive that you were obligated to take care of it. And here we are in 2020 with a beautiful evolution of denim, and only a very few people who dare to combine those two worlds, you know, and that's what Tenue is all about. So I want to acknowledge that this is 2020, and needless to say that 2020 requires different pants than 1930 and all the decades in between. But what really strikes me is that if you combine those two worlds, you're able to touch something very extraordinary, because you use the fabrics and the dedication and the history and the devotion of all those old mills and old brands before us, and you kind of put it into play in the present. And what you get then is that even a developer of 22 years old who sits on his behind all day because he's looking at screens and he's developing software or whatever, is still comfortable in a jean that we craft, because you know, it respects the job that he performs today, rather than pretending he's still a blue-collar worker building a railroad somewhere in the Midwest. You know, those times are gone, I guess.
Yeah.
So Tenue to me is a combination of modernity and history. And well, I leave for you to decide whether we succeed in that.
So it's an evolving brand. It's based on fundamentals, you know, your strong fundamentals of purist brand, and you're evolving it continuously with modern times.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I think 2020 requires a different pattern. It requires different love and dedication. But it would be super stupid if I'm, for instance, working with a mill who's been making denim fabric since 1970s, to not use that experience to get to a more beautiful garment, you know? On the other hand, I think if Mr. Candiani did not transform synthetic fibers actually in something very sexy and beautiful for women, yeah, they would still be dressing up like Marilyn Monroe. And although I love Marilyn Monroe, I'm not really sure how she's working out in 2020, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. So, as an evolving brand, I mean, if we look in the current context, so do you think any kind of fundamentals in the kind of, in whether we speak of fabric, whether we speak of the end product, may change after this crisis, or it may, you know, it will continue with in terms of high quality and strong fundamentals. So, I mean, do you see any fundamental changes coming in because of this crisis?
Well, I can only think that this situation that we're in, crazy enough, leads to a time in which there is much more emphasis for the values that we have as a brand. Because, you know, the fabric mills that we are very proud to work with, like Orta, like Cone Denim, like Candiani, and last but not least, our friends from Japan, from Karabo, they've never made anything which was not about quality. And you know, everything they made was always about, you know, making sure that that jean sticks with you for as long as possible. Because 9 out of 10 of my customers, also in my stores, they are terribly sad when they have to let go of that jean, and when they have like repaired their jeans for 7 times, and finally it's the moment that they have to let go of it, they get so depressed by the idea that we can't replace it with the exact same garment, you know. So especially guys, they don't like change, man. Although the fashion game really wants us to believe that we need to change, all the dudes that I know will totally disagree. They want the same. And if I can't supply the same, then you might as well repair it again, because I don't want to let go of it. So, you know, and also, I mean, mills like Candiani really have not only embraced the concept of sustainability, but they made it into their mission to leave this world as a better place. And also from a scientific standpoint, they do everything in their power to create denim which is equally beautiful, but a lot less of a footprint for the world, you know. And yeah, Orta as well, they have been so involved with us to replace cotton with hemp, to of course have post-consumer recycled fibers, to make sure that we also not only on a garment level but also on a fiber level can work with fibers that are already in our world, you know. So that's so inspiring, and it's so nice. And that's also, to me as a person, as a designer, but also as a shop owner, it's so fulfilling to be able to tell people that we have an alternative that actually will make it a better place.
That the whole process of creating more sustainability and more performance into the fabrics and garments is, I mean, it's an ongoing process, and some of the companies have really contributed, as you mentioned. Some of the companies, I mean, many companies have really contributed towards this, and I think if this has to probably increase in the future. We have to see more sustainability coming through many more companies than it is at present, and many more consumers being aware of this aspect, so that they know what to buy.
Well,
so I mean,
sorry to interrupt, but you know what I feel is, I don't know about your side of the globe, but what I noticed is that when people in media talk about sustainability in clothing, it takes them 2 minutes to put jeans in a corner of, let's say, the bad stuff, you know. And I get so fanatic when I read stuff like that, because I think it's super untrue, and it's a very it's a very simple but very untrue way of looking at a garment like jeans. Because I feel that if you have one jean and you wear it for years and you repair it and you take care of it, and then really when you rip it into pieces after a couple of years, you will actually buy something new. How much more sustainable can we get, you know?
absolutely.
And then on the other hand, if we also establish a better garment and we make sure that we invest in a better process to help the food chain, but also get a more sustainable product out there, I mean, what more can we do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, jeans used for a few years, as you mentioned. I mean, that is probably one of the most sustainable way of wearing a garment, because no other garment really lasts that long. And I mean, this is probably the most sustainable way. And for the purist, I mean, they are not even washing their garments so often, so that also saves the natural resources.
Shout out to all the people who don't wash jeans.
But in current situation, I believe that people would like to be safe and wash their garments. I mean, I'm afraid of that.
Exactly.
So, what are the coolest pieces in your collection? I mean, what do you feel is really cool? Which Tenue has done?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to explain or to say what the coolest garment is that we made. What I can do is explain you a little bit about that marriage, what I talked about before, about combining the two worlds. And I don't know how visible this is, but this is one of our garments. What you see here is, yeah, a jean which is, you could say it's built upon the idea of a 1980s salt and pepper stonewash jean. It's a beautiful like summer jean that could like be made like 30 years ago or something. But then when you take a closer look and you look at the inside of the garment, you see that the inside is actually tailored, and I'll give you a glimpse in 2 seconds. It's actually tailored as if it's an Italian suit. And
Oh, really?
I don't like dirty stitches in my jeans, but even the inside of this pant, it looks like $1 million.
Wonderful.
You know, there's not another dirty stitch in there, and even that terrible lock stitch that you used to have on the side of your pockets. After spending 48 hours next to the lovely lady in Due Carrare in my first factory, we managed to find a way to get rid of that, because I felt that, you know, a lock stitch is something that reminds me of workwear. And although jeans will go back to workwear, I feel that, you know, we have to, again, make something beautiful. And even when you look inside your garment, and when you step into the garment every morning, I want you to feel happy, and I want you to be reminded of all the love and effort that was put into this jean. Because I know for a fact that if we remind people of that, they will take better care of it.
Absolutely, and this also will add to the life of the garment, of the jeans.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what about raw salvages and all? You're doing raws also?
Let me take you on a little tour through my shop, and then hopefully we will not lose connection. If we do lose connection, I will run back to the system in the corner, and then we'll figure it out.
Would be good to see your shop. That would be interesting.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a few of my salvage selections from my own brand Tenue. And what you see here is that, you know, if you compare them to the more beautiful classic jeans that we have here, you kind of see the difference, you know. We have some amazing Japanese brands here like Full Count and Resolute, Strike Gold, and they did an amazing job in, you know, getting those real original details out there. Banzak, our friend from Amsterdam, of course, the mother of all jeans, the 501. And our friend from Sweden, Indigo Ferra. And then we get to the first like modern day rigid from APC, our friends from Paris, which is a brand that I really admire.
Yeah, it's a wonderful brand.
And what you see then, if you look at our jeans, is that, you know, there is a certain modernity in there. And I will try to do this with one hand, and then I'll show you the inside of my selvedge jeans, which I'm super proud of.
Okay.
Hang on. Joertje, kan je deze even inside out doen? Okay, I have to admit, I'm asking an extra set of hands here.
No, you need that.
I'll show you the inside of the selvedge jean, and then you'll actually see the craftsmanship that goes into to these jeans. And you know, I said my jeans have to be so nice from the inside that I would dare to wear them inside out.
Absolutely. And what is the kind of normal weight of the fabric? Normally speaking, you use for the men's jeans.
Well, you know, that's also an interesting question. I think that also relates to the way we look at. I'll show you this in a second. It also relates to the question and the whole philosophy behind the brand. You know, I think the original would require at least 14-ounce heavyweight denim, but you know, when you're a lawyer and you have to be behind your desk a lot, and you're in court and all that other stuff that you have to do all day. You don't want to be uncomfortable in a 16-ounce like super heavy weight, you know. There's just guys out there who would like to have something lighter, and you know, although it may be a disgrace to the real original, I dare to say that I would like to make something for other people as well, you know. And this, for instance, the pant that I'm about to show you now is a beautiful denim fabric by our friends from Candiani. It's a 13.5-ounce denim, and as you can see, hopefully the connection allows us to show you the details.
Yes, I'm able to.
The placket is all selvage. It's a custom blue selvage that they made for us based on a replica of the 1980s.
Looks, very, very clean. Looks very clean.
And you know, there is it's been sandfrized, and you know, it's been singed, and it's anything to me that I kind of lost connection here.
No.
I also want it to be comfortable and understandable for people who have an office job or are not a blue collar worker, so to say, you know. So, and there's another way to show you what I mean. If you look at this jean, this is a beautiful jean that we made with cone denim. And as you can see, we chose to have tonal stitching. So the funny idea that we have is that jeans will be back at workwear. The only question is, what is workwear these days? So we made pants lately that people can, you know, wear to their office with a beautiful blazer, with a beautiful jacket, and it kind of replaces a formal pant. But that jean requires a different kind of stitching than, you know, the original, where you would normally ask for a beautiful tobacco stitching like this one has, made in Japan. That will do very well with the true denim lovers. But my friend, who is a developer behind his computer all day, having a slightly more formal job, really loves to buy this because it allows him to use it as modern day workwear. So denim is kind of back at where it started, if you ask me. And I mean, I don't want to get too sentimental about that, but I love the idea to get denim back at workwear, you know.
Yeah, because but work has changed. That's the only thing. The type of work has changed.
Exactly.
So, I mean, let's say the customers who are coming and visiting you, how many of them understand that jeans, you know, especially the raw jeans, they have to be broken in, they have to be worn in a certain way, you know, and how many people really understand that?
Well, I mean, do you mean the real denim lover, or do you mean the random people that visit our store?
Let's say, let's say, for example, a developer is coming to your shop and he wants to buy very good jeans, and he doesn't know about the breaking, you know, how the jeans break in and the raw denim, and how he should get his own personal personality on the jeans. So, I mean, that is a challenge which many brands who are making raw denim and all these pure denims who are making, are facing. Of course, you're doing other kinds of stuff also, but this is also one of the things what you're doing. So, how many customers really understand that?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know, to tell you the truth, there's a lot of surprised faces when they come out of a dressing room at Tenue. They're like, "What did you give me? This feels like sandpaper." It's so uncomfortable, and because they've been spoiled with so much stretch and synthetic fiber, they kind of lost the concept of a mean machine that they have to break in for at least 2 weeks. And you know, that feels comfortable, and they have to like put effort in. But then I told the people, there's this beautiful stage in which the gene is actually becoming a wax mold of your body, and then they look at you, what is this dude smoking? I wanted to, you know. But then if you put a lot of effort in it, you say, well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna give you 2 weeks. You break in this gene, you wear it every day, and you can just, you know, return it whenever you feel that this was not the right decision. And then they're really
Wow.
confused. They said, how can you say something like that? And I always tell them, because after 12 years, I know for a fact that this gene will change your life, because it will allow you to wear the same gene every day, and it has an amazing recovery. It will stay beautiful. It will, you know, it will only get better, in fact, you know. And then yeah, I think 99 of the 100 people stay away those 2 weeks, and they only return for a second pair after a couple of years.
That's an amazing marketing tactic, I would say. I mean, that's that's an amazing tactic. So that's wonderful. I mean, so in, I again come back to that whole thing. Your store is already open. So I mean, are you finding the customers coming back now? Are they ready to shop? They are ready to buy? Are they ready to spend money? And I mean, what is the feeling about that?
Well, to be very honest, I don't know. I wish I could know. You know, I believe this whole situation that we're in requires a lot of guts. You know, I think the worst thing that we can do is become doubtful and become uncertain about the mission that we have. Um, in my honest opinion, I feel that the emphasis can only become more and more towards high quality garments, because crisis always gets people to reevaluate and to think about what do I buy, what do I invest in. And you know, it doesn't make any sense to invest in rubbish, but it is very, very unlikely that people will invest in rubbish when they are in uncertain times. So although this is a very difficult period, I believe that, you know, people eventually will understand that they have to go back to the basics. They have to go back to the real product. Not only because they will need less, but also they will, you know, do a better job in creating an environment that is worth giving through to our children. So it serves two purposes, you know. You will have a better product experience. You will have to like only buy a handful of stuff. And in the meantime, we make sure that this very pollutive fashion game that we're all part of becomes a lot more sustainable. So I guess there's only good things to come to us. The only point is that a lot of people will be harmed by this crisis, and people will lose jobs, and people will lose income. So you know, it'll be a tough couple of months for sure, because you know, people lose income, and they lose the ability to buy a single thing, and that's something that we have to respect, and that's something that we have to be aware of. And hopefully by the time that people have confidence again, and they have the financial possibilities to invest in something again, they will make their decisions wisely.
That's what we also hope. I mean, there has to be some change, because the way the fashion has been moving, the fast fashion, and the impact on the global environment, it has been really, drastic. And we really hope, all of us really hope that the reset button is set, and people are shopping in a different way and spending their
Yeah,
money in a different way.
exactly. Yeah.
So, anything else you would like to share with us, with the friends, the denim community of friends, and anything else you would like to say? Menno?
No, no. I mean, I can only say that I'm very proud to be able to do what I do, and I guess a situation like this also, you know, put you back on earth. You know, it makes you feel humble. It makes you feel thankful. And I guess it's those periods in time that you are actually, that you really acknowledge how lucky you are, and you really learn how thankful you should be for being able to do what you do. So yeah, although there's a lot of emphasis on the bad side of this whole COVID-19 situation, I also hope that it will turn people inside a little bit more, and you know, really be honest to themselves, and acknowledge what they really are passionate about, and hopefully yeah, it'll again take us to a better place, that we afterwards will all say it's not so bad after all.
And we become better humans at the end of the day if we
Right.
become. So that will
Exactly.
be an amazing achievement from this crisis.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much, Menno, for joining this talk, and it was really wonderful to see your shop, your some pieces, and I mean the passion with which you are working. So it's really amazing, and I think people have loved it, and I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Menno. Thank you so much. Bye
Have a
bye.
wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.